So Kenneth Faried is a Houston Rocket. Clint Capella got hurt. Nene is a little older. The Rockets as a team have been a little flat this season, some of that because of other injuries as well, Chris Paul being the big one. And so the question is, can Kenneth Faried be a big deal for these Rockets? Well, the big thing with Faried, you gotta assume he's gonna play full-time center for this team because him at power forward nowadays, not totally ideal. I mean, he can go off the dribble a little bit. Last night against the Sixers, he had a couple plays where he was playing off the ball, and then the big would sag off of him, and then he would take one dribble into the paint. So he's got a little bit of that, but I don't think it's anywhere near enough to play full-time 4, on top of the fact that his jump shot just hasn't really come around, and if you can't basically just be another wing player in today's league, then it is tough for you to play power forward like that. So we're just going to guess that Kenneth Faried plays the center spot. And can he do the things that you want a center to do? Well, the fear is that he's 6'8", and he's just not big enough to grab rebounds, box guys out, contest at the rim, and just be a presence for 15 to 22, 23 minutes a game, I guess. I mean, he played 23 minutes last night, no Capella, so we'll have to see where his minutes are at once Capella comes back. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if Kenneth Faried can be this, I know he can be the rim runner and all that and the finisher, and I assume that that's all going to be fine for James Harden setting screens. I don't know if he's going to be the defensive player like that. Throughout his career, I wouldn't consider Faried to be a plus defender. I wouldn't consider him to be bad either, but it'll just be interesting to see what he does with this Rockets team. I mean, are they going to go back to their switch everything or almost everything defense that they were running towards the end of last season and into the playoffs? I don't know. I think there's a chance that Faried could switch on to a couple of positions and actually not be bad. I mean, he's 6'8" with some decent lateral quickness. Granted, we haven't seen him play regularly in a couple of years, so for all we know, he can't move like he used to, but he seemed pretty good in last night's game, just moving in transition and all that, so I'm going to guess that he can just stay in front of some 2s and 3s of the world, definitely not all of them, and I would think that sometimes teams will actually look to attack him a little bit in one-on-ones, but I don't think he's going to be horrible at that. And then you just hope that he can just not suck at defending the pick and roll, and whether they're going to drop him against certain teams and have him trap against others, I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, but my gut feeling is Kenneth Faried is an average defensive player, and you know what? Being average is a big, with all the other things Faried can do, which we will talk about in a second, that can still allow you to be a pretty serviceable player. I mean, you look at Jonas Valanciunas. I know the height is a lot different between these two, but is it possible that Faried could make up that difference because of how hard he plays? Yeah, maybe. And I guess now we can talk about that stuff. So we may remember with Faried, his hustle was his big thing, that and his athleticism as he was a little younger for the Nuggets, playing full-time power forward in a league that would allow a 4 like him to play 30 minutes a game or whatever. So you assume he's going to beat opposing centers in transition a lot. He's going to attack the boards. And, I mean, we've seen, with Tristan Thompson, who's not the tallest guy in the world, that you can still be an effective offensive rebounder if you just go for it every single possession. And that could help out this Rockets team a lot, because perhaps it's possible that with the James Harden do-everything approach, that sometimes guys get a little too stuck or a little too comfortable in the status quo of the team, and then Kenneth Faried comes in, grabs 4 straight offensive rebounds, and it's like, oh wait, we don't all just have to stand in the corner, we can do something else. And what could be interesting is if PJ Tucker and Kenneth Faried can create a lot of extra opportunities for this team. I mean, we've seen that when PJ Tucker really wants to be, he can be an awesome offensive rebounder. He's grabbing 1.5 of those a game. Faried didn't have any offensive boards last night, so we'll have to see. But again, Faried was grabbing those boards as a power forward. and now he is going to be playing the center position, so maybe he just can't get around the bigger dudes. I don't know. We're going to have to see. But hey, given how desperate this team was for a center who could just move relatively well, even if Faried isn't that guy anymore, but he can just not suck for 20 minutes a game behind Capella when Capella eventually comes back, even that would be still pretty damn good. Because Nene, while he's fundamentally sound and a strong dude, he can't move like Faried or Capella can. Now if we get to the, well, I've already been talking about offense, but if we get to the other stuff with offense, number one, Faried made a three-pointer last night. Is it possible that he will be shooting three-pointers? I mean, look, I'm going to assume he has an idea of why he hasn't played basically since, like, what, 2017, I guess? Really, you could say 2016, because in 2017 his minutes were already dipping down. I mean, we all know why. It's three-pointers and ball handling and all that stuff, so maybe he was working on his three over the past couple of years. The one that he made, granted he was left wide open, it was towards the end of the game, but the form didn't look horrible, and he's on a team now where, of course, three-pointers are a priority. So even if he's maybe not going to make threes like that, perhaps he could just make some mid-range jumpers. That could be pretty cool. Then again, I don't really know, because his career mid-range percentages are not very good, but we'll just have to see. As far as the setting screens for James Harden, rolling to the rim and then finishing at the basket, going to assume that he'll be pretty good at that. We remember Faried in his day being one of the better alley-oop guys in the league. I don't have any stats to back that up. I'm just going by the eye test and just the feeling of it all. I mean, you look back at that time, there was the Tyson Chandlers, Kenneth Faried, Dwight Howard, you know, that type of guy. Yeah, I think he'll be fine there. So I think that's where I end up on this. It's a good signing. I don't think it's going to change the world for them, but they certainly need Faried right now, and it's never a bad thing to secure yourself a solid backup center who plays really hard. So, yeah, Kenneth Faried on the Rockets.